Okay, so didn't have too much time to prep for week 2 matchup due to work being insanely busy for no reason this week. And I'm very tired, so I don't know how well I'm gonna do. But this is what we've got. So he's got 4 different Pokemon that can Mega. Um, Gardevoir, Blastoise, Squirmy, Manectric. I don't see him bringing regular Manectric, regular Squirmy at all, which is why I don't even have them on the sheet here. Regular Gardevoir, regular Blastoise are definitely things that he could bring in addition to something else. 3 of his 4 Megas are especially offensive, so my team is going to reflect that. But also, this guy has a trickery mode, and I thought my Espathra could get imprisoned, and turns out it can't. So it's like negating part of the reason why I picked up the damn thing in the first place. That's fine. Um, it's okay. But so let's show you what we've got to work with. So let's start with the Dragon Ball set, I think. So this week I am running a specially offensive Dragapult with Sash. We're running Will-O-Wisp, Shadow Ball, Draco Meteor, Protect. I'm assuming he's going to think I'm going to run a physical Dragapult, but I'm not going to. He also could think I'm running a supportive Dragapult, which this is kind of that, but not really. Since my team is going to be heavily indexed in the Special Defense Department, I needed Will-O-Wisp to deal with his physical threats. So on the off chance he does bring Squirmy, Will-O-Wisp will take care of that. Will-O-Wisp helps with the Tauros, so the Tauros could very easily have Lumberry, hating the Will-O-Wisp, but we'll play around it. But yeah, pretty generic Dragapult. So, I mean, this outspeeds everything he has, so had to bring it. Let's go to the Glamora next. So I decided to bring Mega Glamora this week because it like deals a ton of damage to a lot of his Pokemon that he wants to bring, and there's not much on his team that actually hits back for very effective damage without like taking a ton in return. So I like this. This is another thing that outspeeds everything but Manectric on his team. So it's pretty good. Spiky Shield Sludge Bomb Power Gem is pretty generic on this, but the light screen is something I decided to bring over Energy Ball. You might think, oh, bring Energy Ball for the Blastoise. However, with adaptability, Sludge Bomb deals as much damage as Energy Ball does to Blastoise. So there's no point in bringing Energy Ball unless I want to have that for Rhyperior, and honestly, I have other things that can deal with our Rhyperior at that point. Yeah, I decided let's just take Light Screen because I was trying to make this like especially bulky Gamora, and there was just no way it was surviving anything from the Gardevoir, so I said let's just bring a Light Screen. I know, like I said, I could survive some stuff. Scizor is also going to be especially bulky. This is generic Scizor set. With this setup, it's always living an Overheat or a Mystic Fire from the Gardevoir or the Manectric. If he brings like Arcanine or the Tauros, then I'm in a bit of trouble. That Tauros can be any single one of the forms, but so I'm in a bit of trouble if he brings that. But Scissor's already like pretty bulky on the defensive side anyways, so it should be able to live with an Ockenberry. The Conkeldurr is also going to be very specially defensive with a Payapa Berry to live some rolls from couple different things they could bring. With the Gardevoir. But I need to bring this thing because it's my only wide guard Pokemon. I considered not bringing it, but at the end of the day, I was like, if I don't bring it, then he knows that he can just spam Water Spout on me or spam Hyper Voice on me, and that's something I'd rather him not do. I'd rather him have to think about, am I bringing Conkeldurr, am I clicking wide guard? Yeah. So then wide guard, Helping Hand, Mach Punch, Knock Off. There's not much reason for anything else. Since I'm so slow with this guy, he has to end up being a supportive Pokemon. Fortunately, problem of taking this over something like a champ maybe would have been better at the end of the day for this slot, but it is what it is. So wide guard is just necessary. Helping Hand can help get a couple different kills here and there, some different Pokemon, depending upon how they're statted. Mach Punch is just generically good for getting like kills on something that might have Focus Sash, and then Knock Off just because I really didn't have a better move. This guy has like a couple different things he could run, but at the end of the day, it's like he's so slow that he can't really make good out of it. I considered running something like Rock Tomb, but it just ultimately didn't really make much sense over Knock Off. And then a Spathra is going to be Luminicross, Energy Ball, Light Screen, Trick Room with Citrus Berry, Opportunist. So it is going to be Trick Room, just in case he, well, for two reasons. One, I originally wanted this to be in Prison Trick Room until I figured out it wasn't able to learn in prison. But then I decided let's keep Trick Room anyways for two reasons. One, he could use Tailwind with Skormory, or I imagine Toucannon also gets Tailwind. I really didn't check much about the Toucannon set, I'll be honest. So he could Tailwind, in which case I can Trick Room. And deny him everything. Oh, sorry, so tired. The other thing I can do is, if I think he's gonna Trick Room, I can Trick Room right back. The problem is if he doesn't click the Trick Room button and I click the Trick Room button, then I look really stupid. Luminicrash is just a must-have on this Pokemon. And then Energy Ball is to always one-shot a Mega Blastoise that use Shell Smash. If Mega Blastoise uses Shell Smash, then a Spathra will one-shot it back. With an Energy Ball. And then Light Screen is just because I really didn't have anything better. It was either take Protect or take like a Feather Dance maybe. I really didn't like any of those options, so I just decided I'll go Light Screen. Could have also taken like Reflect here, but I figured I really need it. So a lot of my Pokemon are already like very like defensively bulky anyways. But yeah. So then on to my favorite Pokemon in this Diggersby. So I honestly didn't think I was bringing this guy to any matchup. And then the second week I was like, oh wait, Diggersby's like actually insane here. So Diggersby has a chance to one-shot a Mega Manectric through an Intimidate with an Earthquake. If I use Helping Hand, then it definitely one-shots. So that's something. This does all of Mega Gardevoir's health with a Gunk Shot, unless it is max bulk Mega Gardevoir. But if he's running that, then I'm not scared of it. Yeah. And then Wild Charge is for the Skormory and the Blastoise. It should do about half to them, over half. But if by Helping Hand and they don't have any bulk, then there's a chance that Wild Charge just one-shots, which is pretty cool. And then I considered having Fire Punch in this last move slot just to deal with Sinistra a little bit better. But I decided that I'd rather just have U-Turn just to deal with the Intimidate Pokemon that he has. So. But ultimately, it's just a very especially defensive team this week. Scissors, especially defensive, Compiler, especially defensive, Sponsor, especially defensive, with Dragapult to apply Will-O-Wisp, and Diggersby, Glamora, and Dragapult to a lesser degree to outspeed everything. With like Scissor, Bullet Punch to like clean up and. So yeah, I think my plan is like Diggersby Espathra, based on what he thinks. Diggersby kind of just good at anything on his team, and I think he has much reason to lead with an Intimidate Mon, but we'll see what but yeah, so forward to it, even though I'm going to be super tired, so we'll see how well I do. Okay, so a few things. My mic did not get picked up that well at all when I recorded this, and the colors were very, very off, and I couldn't get it fixed. At least not while I was recording. So I had to fix it in post. So I've done my best to fix everything up as best as I could, and I'm giving post-game commentary as to what my thoughts were while I was playing the game and whatnot. So my opponent brings Manectric, Arcanine, Blastoise, Paldean, Tauros, Water, Umbreon, and Toucannon. I was not expecting a lot of this stuff, so I was kind of caught off guard a little bit by that. But I decided, let's start with Diggersby. Let's take Conkeldurr. I just want to play around a Manectric angle. And want to play around the Blastoise angle is what I really want to not just get blown out immediately by that. And let's take Dragapult and the Glamora in the back. Him having both of his Intimidate Pokemon makes me really scared to pretty much like anything else. So he leads Tauros and Toucannon. And I immediately I don't want to stay in with either of these Pokemon. So Diggersby obviously is going to get one shot by the Tauros, and Conkeldurr can potentially get one shot by the Toucannon because my team is very specially invested, and those are two physical Pokemon. So I say, okay, let's bring the Conkeldurr back. Let's send out the Glamora in its place. That way it could take a Brave Bird pretty well. And let's U-turn out the Diggersby. So this does open up a chance for him to Tailwind, but there's not much that I could really do about that. So, bring in my Dragapult. He's going to end up close combating into it, which is great. So I was considering whether or not he would actually do that with the fact that I did have a Ghost type in the back. It's always hard to tell against people like how far ahead they're going to be thinking with some of this stuff. So now he has the Tailwind up. And now I am worried here about what's going to happen when he gets his Mons in the back out. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I think he's gonna switch Tauros, so let's Will-O-Wisp Sludge Bomb into it. Honestly, Will-O-Wisting into the slot's probably not the best idea. I think Will-O-Wisting into the Toucannon would have been better. But yeah. Because it's like, it kind of is like, I don't accomplish anything by using Will-O-Wisp and Sludge Bomb into that slot. So, he goes for Close Combat and Throat Chop. The Throat Chop does not kill, or does not bring me down to Sash for the Dragapult, which is nice. He doesn't know I'm Sash. But also, I was like, huh, that's weird that it didn't bring it down to Sash. Because I would think that even then, like, Dragapult's not that tanky. Dragapult's pretty frail at the end of the day, and I only have a few points invested into HP, not enough for it to matter in that scenario. So, for whatever reason, this Toucan doesn't hit hard enough to one-shot the Dragapult. So then he brings in Umbreon. I'm like, okay. And I want to just stall out the Tailwind at this point because I want to get my Diggersby in a good position to sweep. So we're just gonna double protect here. And both my Mons are like really weak here, so I do have to be pretty careful about dying to the Toucan and the Umbreon. If I had Will-O-Wisp the Toucan, this would have been a lot better for me, but since I didn't, I'm in trouble. So, because now it's like, okay, he's going to either Throat Chop or Brave Bird into the Dragapult slot potentially, and then he's going to also attack the Glamora, and so I'm just like, I guess I'm just gonna sack both of these Mons at this point. However, I'm pretty sure he could have just killed me here with both of them, and I probably should have recalled the Glamora here and sent out Conkeldurr in its place, is what I probably should have done, and then sacked the Dragapult. I think Dragapult's not really too useful at this point. I've removed the Tauros, which was the one thing I was scared of. So, but he doesn't end up killing the Glamora here. And I one-shot the Toucan even after a Snarl. So, yeah, now I'm like, okay, I'll bring out Diggersby here, and there's an Arcanine. I was like, huh. Okay. So, that's another Intimidate Mon. So I'm like, I need to get Diggersby back out again, but that's fine because with Arcanine out, I want to use Earthquake, and I really don't want to use Earthquake when the Gamora's up. So I was like, okay, the Arcanine could be like Extreme Speed, could be Choice Scarf. I think this is just like a sack Glamora angle here at this point, and just get Diggersby back to resetting the Intimidate drop. And yeah, and then the Arcanine is not Scarf, it is not it's not Extreme Speed. And my Glamora just one-shots it. So yeah, at this point the game's kind of wrapped up. I don't know why my opponent decided to bring an Umbreon for this matchup, but he did. Like, he didn't bring Sinistcha, he didn't bring Gardevoir. Also, he didn't bring Blastoise or Manectric for this first game, which I was like really confused by. But it's like, okay, that's fine. I'll just get my win. And at this point, I'm just trying to preserve information as much as I can. So I'm just gonna keep spamming the same move over and over until I win. Okay, so that's game 1 done. So for game 2, I'm trying to think of like, what is he gonna do to react to what I just did? And I'm sitting there like, well, he could... He's probably bringing Manectric and Blastoise. Or at least one of them, because I still don't know which one of them is the Mega. Obviously, Manectric's a Mega, but Blastoise could also be a Mega. So, trying to figure out, like, what do I do about that? I think I want to bring a Spothra just to prevent Shell Smash Blastoise from going off. And I'm thinking, like, what else do I want to bring? You know, I think let's start the Conkeldurr and Diggersby again, because Conkeldurr once again has a Wide Guard still, and Diggersby can one-shot the Manectric with a helping hand. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then, like I said, I take the Spothra, and then I'm considering, do I want a Dragapult, do I want the Glimmora? I probably don't want Scizor here. I think Scizor has pretty low value for this game. With what he brought and everything, Scizor doesn't have much at all. I don't think Scizor can survive a Flare Blitz from Arcanine either. So, yeah. Really trying to not bring Scizor's set at this point. So he leads Manectric and Blastoise. So I'm trying to sit here and think, what could he possibly do? I'm just thinking, okay, you know, he could Shell Smash Blastoise. He could just go for a straight up Water Spout. Manectric could try to do stuff. And so I'm like, I think I'm just going to Earthquake. And I think I'm going to just go for a Helping Hand. I'm considering Wide Guarding here. But I'm like, I really want to just remove this Manectric off the board, which is only just because it's faster than everything else on my team, and I'm like, if I can remove the Manectric, then I can be pretty free to do whatever I want. The one thing that's like, I really can't play around, unfortunately, is a Blastoise Fake Out. And I'm just like, well, hopefully, if it's Fake Out, he'll Fake Out the Conkeldurr. But nah, he fakes out the Diggersby. So, and then he's gonna figure out that my Conkeldurr is very specially bulky, because I tank that like a champ. So then I'm like, okay, let's just do the same play again. He sees that I've got Helping Hand now. Kinda sucks. I'm essentially saying here that I'm gonna sack the Conkeldurr, which honestly I don't think is the right play from me. I think just Wide Guarding would have been better here, because I can take a hit from pretty much anything, and like Blastoise could one-shot the Diggersby, but I at least get a bunch of damage in. Now he shows Muddy Water, and also Diggersby is going to tank the hit somehow. So now I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, okay, I want to take Diggersby out, I think maybe, and then I'm like, let's just do the same. Let's just go for an Earthquake again. Let's use Wide Guard. Let's play around Blastoise, potentially just using Muddy Water again. And then he brings in his Tauros, so that more Intimidates coming into my team. Not too happy at this point because of that. I'm like, okay, I kind of need to keep Diggersby alive in the back somehow. But this is getting pretty bad. So we see that Blastoise has Citrus Berry, so I'm a whole lot less concerned now about a Shell Smash angle from Blastoise. So I'm like, okay, I need to keep the Diggersby alive, let's bring this back, and I'm like, I think Conkeldurr's kind of dead here. Let's just knock off the Tauros, get rid of its item. See what happens. So Tauros goes for Aqua Jet. That's good to know. Blastoise goes for Muddy Water again, even after seeing that I was Wide Guard. Is interesting. I get an accuracy drop, which sucks, although I don't think it really made a difference at the end of the day. But I do miss my knockoff into the Tauros. So I'm like, I'm gonna just set a light screen and let's just go for Mach Punch just because I think I'm not gonna be able to get a hit in. Just Conkeldurr right. So of course, Mach Punch misses. Once again, don't think it really would have made a difference. And this Tauros is shown to be faster than my Espathra. Now, I didn't put any speed investment into this Espathra, but it dying to the Tauros there sucked. And I think if I was like full HP, probably would have been fine. And now this Blastoise shows Icy Wind. Very interesting. So at this point, I don't see a way that I can really win because my Diggersby is gonna get stuck in a really bad choice here, and I'm just trying to figure out how do I want to like get around this issue. And it's just like they've got 4 Mons left. One of them is Manectric, so I'm really just in a bad spot. This Tauros has Aqua Jet. And I just don't really see a great way out. So you see I'm trying to consider, like, what do I even use? I just say screw it. I'd probably just here anyways. So let's just go for the wild charge. Let's try to kill stuff if possible. Aqua Jet's the Diggersby, so that's gonna go down. Sludge Bomb will kill the Tauros, which is once again very interesting. My Gomora is one-shotting pretty much everything. And the Blastoise uses Muddy Water. Once again, the Blastoise must not be that invested into special attack because that really isn't doing a whole lot. At this point though, I'm pretty much cooked. I don't outspeed this, so it's like, well, maybe he'll do something silly, I guess, but I know that pretty much I am done for this game. And Blastoise throws its last move, Helping Hand, and I was tired when I was playing this, so I didn't realize that that was its last move. And now my I should know that my Conkeldurr hard walls this Blastoise, but it doesn't really register. Okay, on to the next game here. So I'm trying to figure out what do I do if he leads Blastoise Manectric again. Because Blastoise has Fake Out, I kind of really want to lead Dragapult. I'm thinking, do I want to lead Diggersby? Do I want to lead Gomora? I don't really think I want to lead Conkeldurr. I'm considering Scizor or Espathra for a few seconds, but ultimately I'm just like, you know what? Let's just go with the Gomora, and let's go with Diggersby and Conkeldurr in the back. The Conkeldurr is going to be pretty good against the Blastoise, and it's going to be pretty decent for just like supporting the rest of my Mons for getting kills. And I kind of need to bring Diggersby because Diggersby will one-shot the Manectric. Well, by Helping Hand, it'll one-shot it for sure. There's a chance it one-shots it, as is. And it deals really good damage to everything else. It should be able to one-shot the Blastoise. Actually, that's a defensive blast. Probably wouldn't. But I'm just like, let's do this. I've got some good Mons in the back for easy cleanup. And hopefully Diggersby being in the back helps avoid some Intimidates. So they lead Blastoise in 2 cannons. I was very surprised by it. And I'm just like, let's just go all in onto getting some early damage in and setting up a light screen. So my Dragapult's special attack really isn't that great at the end of the day compared to some other Pokemon. So even with this Draco Meteor, it's not really gonna do a whole lot to this Toucannon, especially because Toucannon is probably bulky, considering how much damage it was doing to the Dragapult. So do that. I set up a light screen. This should help mitigate a lot of the damage coming off that Blastoise. They set up Tailwind, but I'm not too worried at this point. He's gonna Muddy Water. I'm crossing my fingers that I don't get an accuracy drop, because if I do, I think I just lose the game on the spot. And no accuracy drops, thankfully. So now it's a game of like, okay, I need to stall out this guy's Tailwind. And what do I need to, like, I need to keep Blastoise and Toucannon out because they're kind of like the only things that really do anything to a degree. Dragapult's gonna protect. I do predict that they would target the Dragapult. So Blastoise will get poisoned, which is good. The Citrus Berry is going to proc, so it's going to be a while before I can kill it with another move. And I'm sitting there thinking, let's go for a protect on the Dragapult. And let's go for a spiky shot. I'm thinking let's do a double protect on the Dragapult. Do I go for the attack? So Blastoise doesn't end up going for a Helping Hand, which is interesting. Goes for another Muddy Water. It misses Glamora, which is pretty big. I don't think it ends up making... Actually, no, it does make a difference at the end of the day. Like I said, let's kill the Toucannon here. I don't want him resetting the Tailwind later. So let's kill the Toucannon, because at this point I can stall out the rest of the Tailwind turns pretty well. So he brings in Arcanine. Gonna see that I am Clear Body, which should be expected. Tailwind's got one more turn, so I know all I have to do is kind of just double protect. I do consider, like, would they potentially do something for setup? Should I switch in predicting that? And I go, wait, no, they really don't have a way to set anything up. So let's just go for the double protect here. Because we do know that my Glamora will one-shot this Arcanine. Arcanine shows Psychic things. Doesn't really matter. Icy Wind from Blastoise could be a problem. Now Blastoise is getting pretty low. So I'm sitting here thinking that Manectric's gotta be the thing that's in the back. So as long as I can clear the board out, then my Diggersby should be able to clean up. Draco Meteor deals next to nothing to the Blastoise. The Glamora will one-shot this Arcanine, which is great. I'm feeling pretty good. The Blastoise should die here this turn or next turn to the poison, so I could just stall it out with some protects if I want to. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. So, let's bring in Conkeldurr, because once again, Diggersby's kind of like a nuisance for my own Glamora. they send in Tauros. Also bringing in Conkeldurr dodges the Intimidate from the Manectric that I was expecting. But they decide to bring in a Tauros and not the Manectric. I was like, oh, okay. So you knew that I actually would use this Diggersby. So. But I was thinking like, okay. I need Conkeldurr to kill this Blastoise. What else do I need to do here? And I'm like, I think this is pretty safe to just protect with the Glamora. Because Conkeldurr will get the knockout on the Blastoise no matter what. And, like, all I'm trying to do is just avoid getting accuracy drop from Muddy Water. So. At this point, I'm pretty confident that my Conkeldurr and Diggersby can clean up the Tauros. So I'm like, okay, let's knock off whatever the Tauros has and let's Sludge Bomb. And then Glamora lives in Aqua Jet. So I don't know what the roll is on that, but yeah, Glamora just cleans up. So this thing, it's like a truck at the end of the day. And yeah, I'm going to secure myself easy win. So that leaves me at 1-1 now.